XRP is pumping right now all the way to the upside. So what is making XRP to pump? I'll be discussing this in detail in this very video. And we see BNB pumped as well yesterday all the way to the upside. Right now we are seeing rejection within this very area. So will this very move still move upward into this area of resistance? Detail coming shortly in this video. And if you look at the CPI data that was just released few minutes ago, it discovered that this data turned out to be good for crypto in my opinion. I'll be taking a deep dive into this very data to analyze it properly for you in this very video. ETH, BTC as well, I'll be giving my price prediction in this very video. And the most important thing right here is the fact that President Trump have actually granted CZ pardon. We've been talking about this very pardon for a very long time now, for days. And of course, in some person's opinion, CZ does not deserve this pardon. But in my opinion, which is also in line with the opinion of others, CZ actually deserved this pardon, because if you look at what CZ was charged for, I don't think that was a crime in my opinion. But they actually jail him for about 4 months or thereabout, and right here President Trump have actually granted him pardon. So if you look at this very post by CZ, if you look at it on X, deeply grateful for today's pardon, and to President Trump for upholding America's commitment to fairness, innovation, and justice. We'll do everything we can to help America, or to make America the capital of crypto and advance Web3 worldwide. Still in flight, more posts to come. So this is a very important development, and some person attribute this to the reason why we see BNB actually pump significantly, not that much, just 5% yesterday. And if you look at the 4-hour chart, it discovered that this pump happened, and right now we are seeing the market coming back to the downside. In my opinion, market is going to come back to retest this very area before the next move to the upside. I still believe that market is going to move upward, but I want to see the market come back down a little bit, retest this very point before the next move all the way to the upside. In as much as we've seen this very pardon come to pass, let's look at what President Trump have to say about this very pardon.
Person. A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything, that what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing, you fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
You can see that the Attorney General of the United States, the person of Pam Bundy, was actually there when President Trump was making his statement. And I also believe that they've done their finding and discovered that he was not guilty. However, this is very important. So the price of BNB is actually coming back down right now, okay, after this pump yesterday. Of course, this is just a sell the news kind of play that we're seeing the price action right here. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So market is actually coming back down because the news have already been delivered. So I am looking at the market come back down a little bit into this very area, this very point of important support, very important before the next move to the upside. What that also means is that I am not expecting aggressive drop all the way to the downside on the price of BNB USDT. I'm on the 4-hour chart. So this is very, very important right now, guys. Pay attention to this. Market is going to move all the way to the upside after this correction that is coming to the market right now. And if you look at XRP, it discovered that XRP come back down from this very area. And then we see this move all the way to the upside. We see this move into this very area. And then right now, market is going to move upward. I believe strongly that XRP is going to move in the upward direction in the next coming days. And this is very important. And if you come to the 4-hour chart, discover that the momentum on the 4-hour chart right now looks very, very great. And I want to see a breakout of this very level of important resistance, this very point right here. Okay, once we see this breakout come to pass, okay, markets move upward and we see a breakout of this level of importance, support, resistance right here, market is going to begin to move all the way to the upside. And on the longer time frame, which is the 1 day chart, I am expecting XRP to begin to move all the way to the upside. And this, in my opinion, was triggered by the fact that we've seen this very news that it is for sure that President Trump is going to meet with President Xi next week. And this is very, very important. Take a look at President Trump talking about this himself.
He did, and I raised our tariffs to 100% on top of what they're already paying, which is far worse, far worse. We'll see what happens with China. I've always had a great relationship with them, as you know, but they're always looking for an edge. You know, they ripped off our country for years. They made with Bush, with everybody. They made Obama was terrible, terrible. And you know, I really liked Ronald Reagan. I loved him as a president, but he was not good on trade. He really wasn't good on trade. On trade, he wasn't good, but he was good in many ways. But I will tell you that China in particular, boy, they did a number on our country. They took money out. Now it's reversed. I mean, you know, we're doing very well with China. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you. We're going to meet in a couple of weeks. We're going to meet in South Korea, actually, with President Xi and other people too. But we're going to meet. We have a separate meeting set up.
If you put that 100% tariff on top of what's in place already,
55.
put a 157% tariff on
That's right.
China, can that stand? I
No,
mean, what is that going to do to the economy?
It's not sustainable, but that's what the number is. It's probably not, you know, it could stand, but they forced me to do that. I think we're going to do fine with China. I get along great with him. He's a very strong leader, a very, you know, amazing man. And you look at what he's done and what he's, you know, where his life is an amazing story. It's a story for a great movie. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to have a fair deal. It's got to be fair. And you cover it as well as anybody that's ever covered this subject. You know, it's a very complex subject. But China has ripped us off from day one. And, you know, Richard Nixon, he allowed this to happen. You know, he was the one, he opened China, and I said, is that good or bad? You tell me. He unleashed it. And we have a very strong adversary.
So for the fact that that meeting is going to definitely hold, I also believe XRP is going to move all the way to the upside. Not only that, if you come to Forex Factory, it is covered that the CPI data have just been released. I always tell people don't focus on this because this actually excludes some important stuff. Pay attention to the normal CPI data. Forget about or pay less attention to the core CPI right here and put more focus on the CPI data month on month and the CPI data year on year. If you look at the value right here, it is covered that the previous right here was 0.4% for month on month, and look at the forecast 0.4%, but it turned out to be 0.3%. What that means is that inflation is actually cooling off. That means last month we saw inflation cool off in the United States. And if you look at this very area right here for the year on year, it is covered that the previous was 2.9% and the forecast was 3.1%. So this actually go below market expectation because market expectation was 3.1%. It come out to be 3.0%. That's 3%. So what this actually means is that inflation is actually cooling off in the United States, and this is very, very good. Now, when you see this kind of data, it means that it is good for crypto because if actual is lower compared to forecast, then it means it's good for any other currency, digital or fiat, aside US dollar. And if you see the actual and the actual is greater than the forecast, it means it's good for the US dollars. So in this very case, the actual is below the forecast, which means it's good for any other currency out there, be it fiat or crypto. So that is what I'm expecting right here. Market is going to move upward for XRP, and this is very, very important. So this is what you will need to pay attention to be in the right direction of the market, most especially if we see the market break out on this very level of important support. This breakout is going to enhance the market to begin to move all the way to the upside on XRP. And if you look at the 1 day chart standpoint right here, you discover that this seems to be very, very bullish. Okay, this is a very strong bullish candle, as you can see right now. I believe if this candle closes bullish on the 1 day chart, market is going to begin to move upward gradually into next week, and this is my personal opinion. And if you look at this very price action right now on ETH 1 day chart, we are now seeing rejection. I also believe that the market is going to move upward, even though we don't see crazy move immediately, but there is a high tendency of this market moving all the way to the upside as well on ETH. If you flip back this chart to the 4-hour chart, you discover that the market is actually rejecting from this very point. Notwithstanding, even though market reject from this very area, I'm still expecting market to move upward. However, on the immediate short term on the 4-hour chart, expect the market to react to this very CPI data, and then market is going to begin to move to the upside. So in my opinion, I still believe that the market have capability of moving upward, even though we see the market come back down a little bit. Market is going to move upward, and of course I am not expecting the market to go below this very area right here on the price of ETH, this very point of 3,700. That is, no matter how the market retraces, it should not go below this very price level, this important spike we saw right here on this very price action. So previously we see this rejection, market move upward, and then market is coming back down right now. So this can be a point of retest before the next move all the way to the upside, or market may not come into this area. We can see the market come into this very point within this very price level right here before the next move to the upside. That is also a very high possibility on price action right now. So this is what you need to pay attention to right now on ETHUSDT 4-hour chart and the 1 day chart. Notwithstanding, if you look at the price of Bitcoin for today, Bitcoin have not really moved. However, yesterday we saw a significant move in the price of Bitcoin. From this very point, market moved significantly upward from this very price level. Market moved from $107K into this very area of $111K, and right now we are seeing rejection. So on the 1 day chart, I am still very confident that the market is going to, from here, move into this very area. In fact, like I said earlier, my target is this very point of 116 and this very point of $115K. So market should move into this very area of 116 and $115K, and then we should see some kind of rejection before the next move to the upside on the price of BTCUSDT 1 day chart. And if you look at this rejection, if we go back to the 4 hours chart, you discover that this rejection is a big deal, because if you look at the way the market was moving upward, the market did not really have much momentum moving from here into this very point. And the CPI data have just been released, although I believe is good for crypto, but we need to see some market reaction. So this market reaction we are seeing right now, for me, mean that market is going to come down into this area before the next move to the upside. I still believe market is going to move all the way to the upside, and that momentum is gradually gathering around this very area. We're not seeing aggressive pump from the bulls or aggressive bear drop from the bears anymore on this price action. So what that also means is that market is going to move upward, and that is what I am expecting from now moving forward to happen on this various price action. So pay attention to this, guys, to be in the right direction of the market. The most important thing right now is the fact that XRP is going to move upward, in my opinion, as a result of the fact that this very meeting between President Trump and the Chinese president have been fully confirmed is going to take place, and there is going to be a special meeting between these two presidents. Maybe a deal will be reached or some sort of agreement will be agreed upon. And most importantly, CZ have been granted pardon by President Trump. All of this is going to make the market, especially for XRP, is going to move upward, and BNB is going to see some kind of retracement before the next move to the upside. Pay attention to all of this to be in the right direction of the market. You can join our Telegram channel for more updates and prompt analysis, news, on-chain data, and many more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.